What are you dancing to, Aquascrotum? There's not any music. Welcome, everybody, to episode 7-ish of the Arcadia Roundtable. I am here with Chris Grannell and Aquascrotum, the Darge Knight. And it's been a week. Chris, you've had a busy weekend. You've been celebrating a little bit. You've been dressing up in some regal colours. How have you been?
Good, thanks, mate. Yeah, it was my birthday weekend, so went to the Cotswolds, did a bit of national trusting, and then obviously decided to don on a hat and collar so I could look like Guy Fawkes. So yeah, all good. So
was anybody else dressed up, or was it just you?
It was just a room with some stuff in, and I went, I'll put that hat on and that collar. I mean, it was for dress up, but yeah, it was just me. Gotta have fun, haven't you, on your leveling up day?
You got to try. Welcome everybody that's here, by the way. I see loads of familiar names, loads of green and blue names for people in the Discord, and also Dick Wingbat, which is a phenomenal name that I take some credit for. So thanks for coming along and reminding me of that moment. Darge, Aquascrotum, how you been?
Yes. Yeah, I've been alright, mate. I was just trying to think about what I've been doing the weekend. I couldn't have done much eventful, mate, because I can't think of too much. But a bit flat on that one.
Dagenham and Redbridge, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I took my little boy. Yeah, I took my little boy to the local football team, Dagenham. Yeah, took him there. It's been a bit shit, really, isn't it? The weather was a bit poor for outdoor activities, so yeah, cracked on with a little bit of gaming, mate. Other than that, not a lot.
A bit of gaming is what you need for a weekend. Dick Wingbat has told me that I'm 10 minutes late trying to give Go Live a run for his money. I apologise for that. That's my fault. I had a Baldur's Gate 3 session overrun. I'm so very close to the end of Baldur's Gate 3 that I thought maybe we could tackle that and get through it this afternoon. But I was wrong. Pushed it as far as I could, ran out of time, had to abandon it with a save like mid final sequence, which I hate doing on any game. When you get to that kind of like big climax of a game, I don't want to pause it, don't want to leave it for another day, but there was no choice. So here we are. Please accept my humble apology. And that's one of the things that I've been playing. Chris, have you had, outside of all your traveling and birthday celebrations, have you had time to keep up and play some games?
Yeah, just continued to play Skull and Bones. Surprise, surprise. So I was actually in the middle of a cheeky little treasure hunt when I had to switch off and jump on here. So yeah, it's still part of the end game. Still grabbing a load more manufactories and just trying to do a fair few things that I want to do before Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out on Thursday.
That's going to be such a familiar story. It's Friday midnight in the UK. It's a global release, so some people around the world have it Thursday, which makes the date a little more confusing. Tell me about this treasure hunt, because I know how a treasure hunt works in Sea of Thieves. I understand the mechanics. I'm not going to say I necessarily love those mechanics, but what's a treasure hunt in Skull and Bones?
It depends. So there's rumors which have a number of stages where you have to go and like investigate like a ghost ship or something like that, and then there's obviously just standard treasure hunts where you've got a map, gives you indication of where the island is, and then you obviously go and dig it up a bit like what you call it, Sea of Thieves. So yeah, two
You get
different
off the
types,
boat.
as I say. So it was a route. Yeah, you get off the boat and go onto an island to dig it up. But the one that I was doing was a rumor. So you'll see people kind of whispering in towns or on islands, and you give them some coin, and they tell you what the rumor is. So I was in the middle of that. I was looking for some kind of stolen ship.
Fair enough. So that, like, you're making this game kind of sound interesting to me now, but I still don't understand. So your level, like Kingpin 804 or whatever, the Kingpin ones just keep on stacking forever and ever and ever, don't they? What happens if me, as a lowly bottom rank pirate,
so
jumps on the game and tries to play with you?
Things. Yeah, so you can do all the things that I'm doing. It's just obviously on the Kingpin level, you kind of open up the smugglers network, and that's where you start kind of earning pieces of 8. So you take over manufacturing, you start to manufacture like rum, opium, different elements, and that earns you pieces of 8. You upgrade those manufactories, and you can get like 1,000 per hour. When you get you get like 40 odd per hour, and you can store up to 1,000. And then obviously once it fills, you go and collect your pieces of 8, and then you've got to take them back to the two major kind of like pirate islands or towns to keep it safe then. But obviously people may try and hunt you when you're doing that, or you get hunted by rogues and so on and so forth. Obviously there's been like a big mid-season update which is just released in the last like 24 hours. So they've done a lot of rebalancing, sorted out a lot of bugs. Certainly on PC they've tweaked quality modes on DLSS, and they've sorted a load of balancing across the weapons. So yeah, it's really good. I mean, they continue to update it, continue to support it. They've enabled the kind of PvP global setting now. So obviously there wasn't a PvP, I think, last time, apart from when you take part in some of the events. But obviously before you set sail, you can enable PvP now and just have fights.
It's completely the wrong screen for the trailer. There we go.
I was going to say we saw Twitter. No, we saw YouTube. So yeah, so you can just enable PvP full stop now. Obviously I turn it off and just crack on with like the story stuff. So
it has a story. When you say story stuff, you're being generous there, or is it actually kind of story?
No, it's got more of a story than Sea of Thieves in terms of like there's two major kind of pirates, part of different factions in the east and west, and yeah, it's got stories, it's got little sub stories and things. You need to jump on and enjoy. Obviously, the difference.
Convinced.
Yeah, if you jumped on, apart from like the ship level and stuff like that, we'd still be able to kind of enjoy your game and stuff, and you decide like what level enemies you want to attack and things like that to keep it a bit easier. But
I appreciate, I respect your attempts to convince me, and I'd like to tell you that it's really working. What's actually working is just the rain and the green fire in the trailer. Your West didn't do it, but the trailer does look pretty. Darge,
it is very good.
Yes, mate.
You told me last week, so we had conversations about Skull and Bones last week. We also had conversations about Balatro last week. Have you touched it since then? I
touched Balatro, but I kind of with a Discord, a few people saw where I was at Death Stranding who had beaten the game and said, like, you're right on the edge of it now, that sort of thing. So when I heard that, and obviously Dragon's Dogma coming up on Friday, I thought, no, I'm just going to, as I say, whack it out. And so, yeah, just like I've done a little bit of Balatro, like the occasional, because that's Balatro, you know what I mean? Like if you've got a bit of time to kill indoors, 10, sometimes not even 10-minute runs, you might have a really shit one and be out of there in 5 minutes, or you could have a good one and go for like 15 to 20. But it don't take long, and it's perfect for a Steam Deck or something. So I'm back in the Steam Deck game. So yeah, but it's Death Stranding for me. I'm like, it's just so. Yeah, Replicant. He's another one who loves it. He it's just like I say, I can get it. Like I spoke to Kev, who Chris knows, Kev, and his attitude was like, weren't for me. Too long of cutscenes, too much walking. And I was like, all right, cool. But because it is what it is, But with
like
me, it just. Well, but just with this game, like the way it's gone for me is it's just every time I feel like I'm going to get sucked out of it, it just does something. Not sucked off of it, Chris. I didn't say that. But yeah, it just got
for it to be clipped. So.
I can't. You know what I mean? I don't talk properly, but yeah. So yeah, and then I'm in like I'm right in the end. So I'm so into it. Obviously, I got my Steam Deck back, and at first, when I first booted it up, I was like doing the PC snob thing, going like, "Oh, there's absolutely no way I can play it on the Steam Deck," because obviously performance is hit, so it's like runs at like 30 FPS, and there's like occasional frame drops and stuff like that. But because I'm so caught up in it, hang on, because I'm so caught up in it, he's getting lasered. Because I'm so caught up in it. Hang on 2 seconds.
Hang on 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's here. There it is.
Fucking hell,
I'll switch it back. I'll switch it back in a minute. Basically, because I'm so caught up in it, like I ended up booting the Steam Deck at work, and then just found myself playing it. But then it went into like one of those cutscenes, and it just went on forever. Like the cutscene nearly drew all the battery out the Steam Deck. But yeah, that's like I've just Death Stranding. I'm right at the end now. I've got what is it? It's Wednesday. No, it's Tuesday, isn't it? Obviously, we're doing a show. So yeah, I reckon tomorrow I should have that done, and yeah, and then that'd be me ready for Death Stranding. I've got to sort this camera out.
Yeah, I'm ready for a second playthrough of Death Stranding. That'll be Dragon's Dogma that you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
I see. I've been playing Baldur's Gate, and that's brilliant. One of the most fun games that I played this week was surprisingly Halo Infinite, with some of the guys from the Gaming Arcadia Discord. And I didn't stream it, didn't do anything fancy or special with it. It was getting a bit late. And they said, "You want to come play some Halo?" And I was like, yeah, go on then, I'll play some Halo. And it was episode 13, Eradication and Quicksilver. And we just got 4 of us playing through on the Halo 3 playlist, just doing the old kind of game types that it had. And it was mostly just freaking brilliant fun. More fun than I've had on Halo since Infinite came out by a long shot. Just doing simple, small scale. And there's no crazy physics. The landscape's not being destroyed and demolished all over the place. You can't even leave footprints in the mud. It's all very like Halo static and sterile in that sense. But it was so much fun to just run around and play that with those guys. Apart from, there's this one game type on there called One Flag or One Flag Capture or whatever. That was proper wank. Because you have the game type is like, it's an attack and defense mode, and we were up against these 4 guys that were, I would say they were better than us. Probably my fault. I'm not particularly good. The other 3 guys are all pretty good, and I was dragging the team down. But it's set up so that one team has to defend the flag, and the other team has to try and get it within a time limit, and then you swap it over. So this other team goes first, and they get the flag, and they demolish us and get it quite easy. All right, then we have a go, and we struggle a little bit more than they did, but we get the flag, and we can take it back. It's 1-1. They have a go. They demolish us. They get the flag back. We have a go. It's a little bit clutch, but we get the flag out, and it's 2-2. Right? They have a go. Pretty much demolish us and get the flag back. That's it. They won the game because it's like first to 3 rather than anything kind of even or symmetrical. So it's like they kind of deserve it, but I'm so freaking irritated that this game mode makes no sense. Like, if we had got to play first, we would have won that game. It's shite. Apart from that, though, Halo Infinite was absolutely brilliant. I like to pick the one thing to complain about. Loads of fun with that. Have you played any of that in the last 6 months, Chris? Oh, you're missing out. We're going to pull you into one of these Sunday streaming sessions where it comes up. There's a Halo Infinite update this week.
It's good. I played with episode 13 and a few of us. I don't think I think you came in later, Asa, didn't you, when we was doing a bit? Yeah. And I mean, that particular game mode, Husky, or I can't remember, Husky Raid or something that it's called. Fucking, that was just carnage. But normal, I can never remember the names of the game modes in Halo, you know what I mean? But like Slayer or whatever the team deathmatch type one is, yeah, we was having a laugh. Like, it was good. It does play well, do you know what I mean? But it is what it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think last time I played Halo and Halo Infinite was with the original RDX crew. That's how long ago it was. They've all disbanded and disappeared now, so
yeah.
Apart from the Darge Knight.
No, I wasn't part of the crew.
I mean, you were in.
I was a roadie.
You were more part of the crew than I was. You were in secret private chats. So.
All right.
Yeah, no, I really liked it, but I've also I've promised Baz as well that we're going to play some of the finals, which is like polar opposite of Halo Infinite in terms of style and presentation, because Halo Infinite very static and you can't damage anything, and the finals everything blows up, which you'd think would be more my style. So
yeah, I played some with Baz the other night because I think it was Friday night, because I like, bless him, Baz, he's like, oh, do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? And then he was like, oh, Darge, are you up for it then? And I was like, I went, yeah, go on, because I keep telling you no. I said, come, we'll jump on it. And the finals is, there's something there in that game, but I feel like it will only ever be fun, like really, really fun, like Helldivers say. I mean, I know you can have fun with it just in, 2 mates in a squad of 4. But at finals, if you get 3 and you have 3 mates doing it, and it's sort of like got that tactical sort of side of things where one can have that, is it goo grenade, like where you expand in foam like in the area and stuff like that, I managed to do a few games with Baz, but we had a good time on it. It's a good game, I really do like the finals when I get on it. It's very fast paced,
so it's got a 5v5 mode now that has like it's like a capture the platform mode where this platform just like roams the level, demolishing buildings itself, and the 2 teams just have to fight for control of it. And it sounds so simplistic that I don't need to understand the levels to know, like, go to platform, stand on it. I can do that. Don't need to learn this one. Stick me in it. I'll die a bunch. I'll drag the whole team down. We'll all lose, but I'll have a smile on my face. So we're going to do that, Baz. That's going to happen.
Good. Yeah, defo. I'll be up for it.
Good. That is, by the way, for those that are watching that aren't, most of you here are in our Discord server. Darge has a little treat for the people in the Discord server that he wanted to talk about today. A little something lined up. Do you want to tell them about it, Darge? Tell them what you're doing.
Yeah. So if you're new here, and you're not part of the Discord community, so to speak, basically, like, it's actually a really good place that we've built so far. Like, in the early days, there's about 50 people in there, something like that. But it's always someone on. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they're always streaming in the streaming lounge, and you get people watching you along, helping you out, playing games together, this, that, and the other. So, what I'm gonna do is start giving away stuff. So the first game is Dragon's Dogma. And that's going to be given away. Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah. That's going to be given away Sunday. So look in the Discord. There's an announcements page there. Get involved, because this is what it's about. Like what I said to Asa is, obviously, it's a community-based thing. Well, I ain't really got money, you know what I mean? But you know me, I'm like the Robin Hood character, you know what I mean? I like looking after everyone, keeping everyone happy.
You're gonna feed your family on baked beans, just to.
I don't feed them. I don't feed them. Well, have I got to feed them? Well, But yeah, so yeah, long story short, it's about giving back. Like, do you know what I mean? Like within the community, I could create a Twitter, we've done it before, where you could create a Twitter post and go, oh, you got to follow me, you got to retweet, you got to fucking marinate my ego for a bit and boost my numbers, and I'll give you a game away, and then you instantly get unfollowed. It ain't about that, you know what I mean? So it's about looking after everyone. So yeah, definitely, if you can get in the Discord, check it out. And that's it.
Brilliant. We do have multiple routes in there now, because you can get in there with your YouTube membership. There's a Patreon as well. There's all kinds of things. Loads of different ways to get there. And it is a good place with a lot going on. Like Darge says, lots of people streaming to each other. We've got servers for various games. We've got stuff happening all the time. And it massively surprises me how constant, like you were just saying, there's just always people there streaming to each other. So it's easy for me, because
the common theme these days, the common theme these days is when I'm getting up early in the morning to go gym is like when Tony's going to bed. So it's like Tony clocks off as I'm clocking in, and then like the British guys will be up and the American guys come later. It's good. It's good.
Right.
Darge's special shows are on the Gaming Arcadia OnlyFans page, aren't they?
Yeah, we'll eventually, if the reception to all this stuff is good enough, I will go on OnlyFans. It'll be part of your memberships. Yeah, hit me up in DMs if you want to know any more.
Right, I'm going to stop stroking our little ego now. We've got a few topics to talk about. One of the big obvious ones is the PlayStation 5 Pro and its specs and all the rest of it. But before we do that, I want to have a little talk about a game that you may or may not care about that's coming out on PC any minute now. I think it comes out on PC on the 21st, actually, and that's Horizon Forbidden West. Have either of you got any kind of affinity for the Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West IP franchise? Played them, enjoyed them, played the second one, looking forward to the second one, all the rest of it? Chris?
Well, I've got an affinity because I used to work with them, so can't say anything bad about Guerrilla. Played the first one, and I kind of really enjoyed it, but ended up doing a bit of a Valhalla and not really kind of finishing it. Got a bit bored.
As a sticking point in that first one, doesn't it?
Yeah,
sticking point in the city.
And it was probably just the mood I was in. Not played the second one. We'll probably pick it up and give it a go, but obviously there are a couple of different games higher on the priority list. But yeah, really like the Decima engine, really like what the guys do. Would like them to go back to make it a kill zone or something outside of that world. But yeah, I'll definitely pick it up, but it won't be kind of at launch because we've got some other stuff to play.
Fair enough, because Dragon's Dogma is a behemoth to try and launch against. It's got all of that hype going for it. Darge, the Horizon series would have come out when you were deeply in love with Xbox. Have you touched the series at all?
So the funny story with Zero Dawn is so when I got a PC, I thought, oh no, I can get some of these PlayStation games, Days Gone, Horizon, and I'd never, like you say, touched them on console. So my first experience of these Sony games was on a PC, and I still maintain now Horizon Zero Dawn, when I booted it up, was a genuine like jaw drop moment, like the world and just everything, the level of detail is really good, and I was literally saying the other day with Forbidden West coming up, part of me wanted to go, because I have actually, I say about games where you feel like you have to restart it when you lose track of the story. Horizon, not so. It would not bother me picking up my cloud save of that game where I've got, over 20 odd hours and just see it through. You know what I mean? Because it's not like I'm deeply engrossed in the story anyway. Do you get me?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off. Yeah, but it's been so long that I forgot it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to hold off because I was talking about maybe finishing Zero Dawn, going into Dragon's Dogma, then go into... But I will definitely, because I heard, obviously, ACG, who we like, he's a big fan of Forbidden West, like the way it looks. He's I'll definitely pick it up. And I have dabbled with the series, but now you're picking me up on the fact that I might continue. So are you telling me this story's worth investing in?
No, I'm telling you, it's interesting because I went into Horizon Zero Dawn, the first one, not expecting very much at all because like robot dinosaurs just seemed like a really childish concept to me, and I didn't care. A lot of people were excited, like, "Oh, robot dinosaurs, that's the coolest thing I can imagine," and that's because your imagination was shit. I thought it just seemed like a silly idea.
Not
But when you get into the game, well, exactly. But it is like a kid's idea, though, right? But it's not. When you actually go into the game and they explain it away, it's actually it ended up being one of my favorite like modern sci-fi settings. It is really really good what they do with it, but the story doesn't really like take hold in that game until you're like 80-90% of the way through, and it starts telling you what's what. There's like there'll probably be some people that are picking through their own playthrough and don't agree with that whatsoever, but for me it was all nonsense until it falls into place and really explains itself away properly, like why these robot dinosaurs are robot dinosaurs and all of this kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
I actually ended up really really enjoying that one, but it does have a really drastic sticking point in the pacing of the story as well. In the main city of it, Meridian, just the amount of dialogue and quests that all kind of coalesce around this one point in it. A lot of people just fall off of it there and never get to the good stuff. The second one,
yeah, I did,
is too long. It's still really really good. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but it is still really really good, but it is too long. So you've got like an awful lot of gaming ahead of you there. The world that it's got is absolutely gorgeous. The gameplay feels really really nice, really really good, really really tight. I like most things about it. Fighting humans in Melee is awful, but apart from that, most of the gameplay is brilliant. The world is very clearly curated though. So you've got some games like Dragon's Dogma is supposed to completely flip this idea on its head and be very very dynamic, where you go around and like anything can happen. In Horizon it's quite densely packed, but it's quite meticulously crafted. Like you can tell everything is specific to the fact that you're there rather than being a lived in natural world. But it's
you can
like
see
the
that
PlayStation
from
5 version.
yeah.
Yeah, and the PlayStation 5 version is gorgeous. Like it took a little bit of fixing after it came out to get its performance mode to look really really good, but the PC version is going to be like right up there as a top tier good looking game. So it's going to be worth trying just to have a little look and a play. And honestly I would recommend getting through the first one before you touch it though. I would.
All right, I've noted it.
Yeah, no, I like that game. Let's talk about a different game. So what do you want to pick? We've got Princess Peach's, like, I don't even know what that game is, so we're not really going to talk about that one unless either of you do know. We've got Dragon's Dogma is also coming out on that day, and we've got Rise of the Ronin. Let's leave Dragon's Dogma to one side, because the thing with Dragon's Dogma is all three of us are going to play it. And I don't know if we want to talk about it too much before we have played it. I think this is going to be a recurring topic next week and all the rest of it. But what about Rise of the Ronin? Do either of you have an interest in that style of game and that specific game?
No. Looked a bit iffy, didn't it? In some of the video footage, some of the animation and graphics looked a bit iffy. And I know they kind of base everything on the sharpness of gameplay and things like that, but it obviously didn't help the console warriors on social media, did it, when they were lauding up the exclusivity of it, and then kind of and
the other way around, yeah. Like,
it was going to look at that, yeah. So, I mean, all of these things boil down to just wars anyway, don't they? But yeah, it does it for someone who's into like visuals, and obviously there's a reason why we've got the hardware we've got. Yeah, it didn't look too exciting compared to some of the other games coming out, but gameplay wise might be great, so I'll definitely give it a go. And especially I'm into Shogun at the minute on Disney, so all
I've
things
heard that's
Japanese are my bag. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
I just I was just going to just jump on and just say, excuse me. For me, I feel like that, Japanese samurai type game is a little bit not overly saturated. Do you know what I mean? But there's been a bit of it like lately. Do you know what I mean? And they all look, to me and my untrained eye, they all look a little bit samey. So like Sekiro, couldn't get on with that because I'm shit. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, then went and tried Wolong. Where was it? Wolong when it went into Game Pass. Shit at that. Yeah. So you know, I see this one. I see like some of the stuff that it's doing, and I just think, no. Obviously, it's PlayStation as well, so obviously I'm not going to play it anyway. But not because I'm like, I just don't have the console. But yeah, for me, like them, it's like Assassin's Creed. Like the next Assassin's Creed's going to be based around.
Yeah, I'm
it as
looking
well,
forward to that more than this, and I'm
yeah,
kind of
but
looking forward to playing Ghost of Tsushima when that comes
yeah,
out on PC.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
It's
where
got
I
like,
stand.
I don't know, this trailer that's playing at the moment, like it's got scope and scale going for it. I get some of the criticisms for the way that it looks, but it does have, like, you can also see why the console is struggling with it, because it is big and broad. You can see drastically far into the distance, and there's a lot going on in that regard. It's obviously going to be made or broken by how good that combat is. And for me, I didn't particularly like Wolong, and I'm not sure, I've not really put much time into the Neo games. And I know ACG liked the Neo games, so I guess I will pay attention to their review on that one. But
I mean, the
it's
streets
going to have a hard
really
time getting
empty, don't they,
attention.
in that trailer.
Yeah,
That's
you're
my
right
only
there. There weren't many
concern.
people walking around. Enough people that are supposed to be active and lived in, but not enough people to actually feel active and lived in. Yeah, and yeah, some of it does look flat and strange and dated in certain regards. But I don't know about that one. I don't know. It's not high on my list to get
rumored
to.
to be coming to PC, or is it just PlayStation exclusive?
I'd be surprised if it doesn't come at all, but I've not heard any rumors.
Yeah.
I mean, Replicants, like just said there in the chat, Team Ninja has never been known as pushing graphics. It's all about the gameplay. So yeah, maybe, maybe the gameplay is solid, and there's a good game there. But based upon, it's not for
Not
me.
never.
You know what I mean?
Not never.
And
Team
Replicant
Ninja
plays
used to push
everything.
graphics once upon a time.
Replicant plays everything as well, so he'd be playing.
Yeah, he does. Although mostly on PC. Replicant, are you planning to get this one on the PlayStation?
I'm sure he said he was waiting for PC, or someone. Oh no, for the win said. Wait for Ronan to come to the PC if it does. I mean, yeah, I'll give it a go on PC if they improve it. But some of those cities and whatnot looked unlived in. That's for sure.
Is Rep saying that he's playing it on PC?
No. FTW said wait for the PC. Wait for Ronan on the PC.
Oh no, I thought Asa asked him if he was playing it on the PC, and he's put back
on the
Sure
PlayStation.
Replicant. Oh,
PlayStation.
right, sweet.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
Go back to sleep.
Pete has gifted a membership there. Thank you, Pete, for another gifted membership. You've done a bunch of those. It is massively helpful. Rachie, that gets you all of the access to have a look around the Discord and see if you enjoy yourself there, which I'm pretty sure you will. Most people do. Rise Son of Rome didn't start a Roman trend. That actually was quite a nice setting for it, wasn't it? Not necessarily the best game. Yeah, I don't know that I'd say the samurai setting is necessarily oversaturated on the console space, because it's taken Assassin's Creed a long time to touch that little area. Obviously, Ghost of Tsushima is like a standout game that's doing that. Rise of the Ronin, I don't think it'll be held back by its setting per se, but it's definitely going to be held back by Dragon's Dogma 2. Chris, what class are you going to play on Dragon's Dogma 2? Are you familiar with them?
No, obviously I've been watching some of the trailers and that. Actually, I need to do some character builds. I don't know, Darge downloaded the character builds, so I've not done that. Literally everything's gone on the back burner because of Skull and Bones. Ubisoft should be very proud that they've grabbed my attention for so long. But no, yeah, I'll grab the character builder tomorrow, or the pawn builder or whatever. My brother gave me some Steam vouchers for my birthday, so that's going towards it. I think he's pre-ordered the deluxe edition as well, so it's just like everyone I know is kind of has a pre-ordered or is just waiting for it to come out or whatever. It looks incredible. So, yeah, I need to kind of step away from a few other things and really kind of study classes and stuff. I don't just necessarily want to boot it up and decide my class there and then. I want to give it a little bit of
cheating.
thought.
Don't do it. Don't research. Boot it up. Decide there and then. Have a look. See what sounds fun. Do it. Go with it. Explore the game. That's my plan anyway, except I have seen bits and pieces of some of the classes. Darge, have you
I've
looked
seen
into
some
it? Do you know
little
what you're going to
trailers of
make?
them. Sorry, I was just going to say,
See.
yeah, I've seen the kind of class trailers and stuff, which I tend not to play anything as like a mage or, you know, kind of like wizard type character. Obviously, I don't know what the actual class names are. Tend to always go like rogues or warriors. So
Nobody goes
I'll-
rogue. What are you talking about?
yeah, enjoy some rogue fighting.
Fair enough. I don't, because you know stealth is for cowards on mine. Because this particular game might actually have, I might have to be a rogue because I think this has like classes and advanced classes and kind of routes through. I don't actually know the mechanics and whether you have to pick certain base ones to get to the ones that I want. But Darge, if you had a look at them, do you know what you're going to make? You rogue at Diablo, yeah.
I already made my characters and posted them in our Discord. I
mean, you just made a random bald fella. Didn't even attempt.
Well, that's what I
didn't
am.
even attempt to model it on your features. It was just some fat bald
fella.
I'm
just a fat random bald fella. Like, it's me. That's who I am. What am I going to do? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I just made him a fighter. You know, like a knight type. And my companion, my pawn, is a
If it's not me,
the class. A thief.
A lovable scouse.
No, it's
lovable scouse friend.
I've named him Aslan because he looks like the lion from Narnia.
Lion, didn't you? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and he's originally he was going to be a mage because I thought I'd have the mage, you know, for support in the background, picking up some XP and shit. But then I decided to go with the thief class. I think it's called the thief, or is it? It's not. Is it a rogue? I think it was called the thief in the game. Yeah, because the mage, he had a big gown on and it covered all of his furry body, and I didn't like it, so I wanted him in some armor. One of the sexy lion man with me. So yeah, I just can't wait for it now. I just can't, like I say, obviously Satama from Discord, he posted that image earlier of all the staggered launch times. Well, no, sorry, not staggered like usually. It's all at once, you know. So it's like midnight Greenwich Mean Time, our time, God's time.
It's not like loads of people are gonna move to New Zealand.
No, there'll be no all that. I'm taking a one-day trip to New Zealand. But yeah, no, that won't be happening this time. But what will happen? what will happen is the servers will probably fucking crash under traffic for the first day, and we'll all be playing it offline. But yeah, Friday. You know, I can't wait for it now. I'm ready to go. Death Stranding will be done. A little bit of Balatro, you know, and then just fully immerse myself, you know. But yeah, it's a fucking another long game though, you know what I mean? Like I'm just going, like I think I got like 65 to 70 hours Death Stranding, and just gonna dive into this one. But it is what it is, mate.
I really wanted to finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth before Dragon's Dogma came out, and I'm still on. I've just started chapter 3 out of I don't know how many, which is right at the start of the game. 17 hours in, still right at the start of the game, so that's not going to happen. I have to make room to juggle all kinds of games. I did try that Balatro. Replicant gifted me Balatro after our conversation last week when you were trying to tell me how good it was. Replicant got fed up and went, this isn't working. I'm just going to send it to him and he's going to fall in love with it. And I'm sorry to say, but I didn't fall in love with it. I played it.
Balatro with my own money. I don't rely on gifts like you two. I have to use my own hard-earned cash for Balatro.
Someone's always getting griefed out on it every week.
Yeah, it's true. It's the way it's supposed to be, though. But I can see why people like it. But for me, it doesn't work as a TV game. And I only really play games on my TV. So I had a go at it, and I understand the mechanics of it. I got through. I beat the first boss, beat the second boss. I didn't actually carry on to the point of losing, so I don't know what happens when you lose. I'm too good at games, and I rarely do actually lose. I thought I'm just breezing this, so I best take a pause and walk away before I just finish this whole thing in one sitting. But I can see how it works on a Steam Deck or a mobile. It's doing really well. The game sold like over 1 million copies already, and it's not even had its mobile release yet. But it's definitely one of those
um,
ones to kill on a journey
obviously-
or whatever when you've got your portable device, I think. Go on, Darge.
Obviously, when I play it on the PC, I have it in like a small window. Do you know what I mean? So I just have it. I don't have it full screen or anything like that. But obviously, like after all the waffle you let me do about it last week, you haven't even got to the actual hook part of the game, which is losing, because then that's when it draws you back in. That's when you keep going. So you've.
I lost a few times and then just turned my MacBook off.
Tell me what's good about losing,
Everyone-
Darge. It's not something I'm familiar with.
I draw me in.
It might be me and my
I just
addictive
like-
tendencies where I just can't say no. I'm like a moth, keeps going at the light bulb. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a me problem. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
What does it do? No,
Maybe.
literally, though, what does it do? What is the hook when you lose? What does it like do to incentivize you to
Tells
go
you
again?
to play again.
It's
Nothing,
just
just
like
well,
it's like anything. You know what I mean? For me, it just makes me want to go again. Makes me more determined to go again. Try different builds. Try different things. You know what I mean?
Definitely you.
Yeah.
I reckon
yeah, it's probably
maybe
me.
if I got to the end, if I'd lost and it had like goaded me with a little taunt and said how shit I am, maybe then I would have been hooked and I would have kept going. Or if it had given me the way that Hades does it, Hades is the opposite. Like you feel really good when you get through it, and then it gives you something new that makes you go, "Oh, it's going to be even better." And every time it gives you like a bit of story and a bit of something to make you just go, "Wow, I need to do.
The
I need to do
Hades
another
hook
one."
was. Yeah, the Hades hook was good.
You do get that in Balatro as well, obviously. Each time you do a run, you discover new decks, like new cards, new jokers, new tarots. You know what I mean? Tarot cards, stuff like that. But it is what it is. I remember when I come across the old glitched one where it was like a multiplier, where it was like glitching and then it hit you with a big multiplier. And it's not for everyone. It's fine.
Clearly not for
Fair
me and
enough.
Asa.
No.
I know. I
could have
reckon
bought a couple of different flat whites for that 12 quid.
in the right circumstances, though, if I was playing in little bits and pieces on a portable device, then I can see why people do like it. Like it was. There's something there. There is something there. They've done something quite interesting with it. It's also very dry for what it is compared to like a Hades that's full of charisma and full of spark.
Dry's all right.
This one's dry.
Nothing wrong with dry.
Darge loves a dry, a dry product.
Yeah, dry slap if you both keep talking about Balatro like this.
I mean, mate.
Yes, Isla, the
you
second
turn
T is
into
definitely
fucking
silent.
Dust if you get any. If you go north of Birmingham, mate, you turn into dust. So
Fucking joking.
I'll just sit here waiting for you.
Oh,
You'll never get
it's
here.
always so hostile. Right.
Right,
No more
right.
Balatro.
No more Balatro, no more
Balatro.
tarot cards. Let's let's
Arrows.
talk about something else that
Next
might not be
episode,
for
we just do
everyone.
a Ouija board. No tarot cards, just a full-on Ouija board. Live on air.
Yeah, maybe. So this week we've had pretty much 99.9% confirmed the specs of the PlayStation 5. Pro, not Pro, whatever you want to call it. I've heard some talk that Pro is not going to be the branding that they go with, but the mid-gen refresh for the PlayStation 5. And I should have it in front of me so I could read this, but I'm not that well organized. I didn't bother. The PlayStation 5 Pro is supposed to be, this is the kind of key stat for it, is 45% faster to render a frame than the PlayStation 5 base model. That's the uptick in performance is supposed to be about 45%. This is Sony's figures, so that will be like best case, optimal circumstances. That's how much of an uplift it is over the PlayStation 5. It's also got a lot of people's heads turning because the figure that accompanies that is that it's like, was it 35 or 33.5 teraflops in there?
Yeah, it's mid-30s, isn't it?
Yeah, which if you make a direct comparison to the Series X, which is 12 teraflops, or the PlayStation 5, which fluctuates a little bit but goes up to just over 10, suddenly it sounds like you're getting some monstrous beast of a machine that you should be comparing to NVIDIA's top-end cards. That's a number to completely dismiss, though, so we can kind of put that one to one side at the moment and just like take the 45% uplift, don't take the new way of calculating teraflops according to AMD's architecture or whatever. That's a bit of a misnomer. It also has some AI hardware in there, and some proprietary Sony upscaling on the way. Chris, I'm not going to go any deeper into the specs that were listed there. I think those are probably like, one last thing actually that people have caught onto is that it has essentially the same processor, the same CPU component of its chip as the PlayStation 5. There's no big uptick in processing performance. Those are the big takeaways that people are looking at, speculating on, trying to figure out what this thing is and whether they want it. Chris, what are your thoughts on what we've seen of the PlayStation 5 Pro so far?
Similar to what you just said. So obviously it's got the same CPU, which is going to be a problem. Obviously a lot
Pause.
of...
Dig into that. Like, how is it going to be a problem?
Well, I think obviously, people will discuss like bottlenecks. So if you're building a PC, you have to be very mindful of not to create a bottleneck. And the way you don't create a bottleneck is make sure that the RAM is paired with the GPU, is paired with the correct CPU. And if either or is kind of underpowered, then you start to create a bottleneck because one can't deliver fast enough for the other. Now, I think there's potentially a bit of cost saving, but it's the same like 8-core CPU. It's overclocked to 3.85, I think, which is from 3.5, which is the original. So you're not really getting much more throughput on that. The big issue with that, and I think Richard Ledbetter touched upon it, was like a lot of these kind of 30 FPS games, which people are saying are just going to double the frame rate and run at 60 and stuff, especially really kind of intensive games, which will be open world games like Skull and Bones, or games like Horizon Forbidden West. All those type of games where be really kind of CPU heavy, like a Red Dead Redemption 2. They will kind of struggle to run at high resolutions and 60 frames a second. Obviously, we need to see what Sony's kind of proprietary upscaling does. But none of these games are going to be running the way that a lot of keyboard warriors have been saying they're going to be 4K 60. We're going to see 8K 60. We're going to see 4K 120. All of these kind of numbers banded about. And I think you touched upon a good point. Obviously, if you ignore the way like AMD calculate the T-flops and kind of the new hardware and stuff like that, and given some of the stuff that some of the guys on social media have said and some of the other things that are out there, it's probably going to be around like a traditional 12 T-flop machine. So it's going to be similar to the Series X. Ignore the proprietary.
I actually think you can just half the 33.5. I think the way that AMD calculate their teraflops on this range of hardware is they just have like a dual pipeline of some kind, so they just double the number, which I think puts it a reasonable chunk above the Series X. But if you look at that 45% number that they quote, generally like the Series X is about, I don't know, 18-20% ahead of the PlayStation 5. This one is 45% ahead of the PlayStation 5, so it does give it a little jump over the Series X. And it would be a bit weird if they just released one that was on a par with the Series X, but yeah, I think that is a more useful metric than the teraflops. Go on.
Yeah, you're not going to have like a massive jump for the Sony is still not making money on the hardware. They're still at a loss. Hardware prices have stayed quite buoyant, and unless they're prepared to make a massive loss, which we don't think they are, because they're starting to release games on PC and they've obviously spoken about underperforming and so on and so forth. This well could be an 800 quid machine or something like that. It's a big pill to swallow, that, for a console. And obviously a lot of people talk about a Pro or whatever it's going to be called as like a mainstream console. Like Pros or those type of consoles are not mainstream consoles unless the previous one is so underpowered and you get there's a price cut and you get a decent price for decent hardware. They are targeted at like enthusiasts, and obviously all this talk about Series S holding back the X and so on and so forth. It's kind of, well, what's PS5 gonna do to PS5 Pro, and it might depend on some of the upscaling techniques, but I think both of the current gen consoles have kind of failed to perform, and I think PC has just started to kind of leave those things behind. So there needs to be some type of reaction to it, just to even. I'd just be happy if everyone just targeted 60 frames a second and and upscaled accordingly. But this whole kind of trying to reach 4K all the time and not having like aggressive dynamic resolutions and stuff to target higher frame rates for me is an issue. But obviously, like, I'm interested in what's going on, but ultimately I'm not asked because I play everything on a 4090. So I'm like Skull and Bones. I'm averaging like 170 odd frames a second on a 164 hertz panel or whatever. So you start to get a really incredible gaming experience at those kind of
So
FPSs and stuff.
you touched on the price there, which is it is pretty interesting, the pricing thing, because traditionally Sony released the PlayStation 3 for like 600 quid, and it was a disaster of a launch because people weren't willing to pay that kind of money for a console. Everything that they've done since then has been about 450, and they've clearly got this as like their successful target price point, which the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 4 Pro, and the PlayStation 5 all pretty much launched at as close as they could. They're not going to be able to do that this time. Their financial talk a couple of weeks ago, they said that the current model of the PlayStation 5, the slim, not slim, but the newest iteration of it doesn't cost less than the launch model. So this is a big like Sony highlighted challenge for themselves and for the lifespan of the PlayStation 5. Normally in a console's life cycle, the price goes down and down and down and down and down, and that allows them to penetrate the market in different ways and get a newer, bigger audience. And they can't do this with the PlayStation 5 because components have not gone down in price. Some of them have gone up and all the rest of it, which means they can't possibly release a mid-gen refresh console at that baseline price point. So they've got to take that higher price risk. How much higher remains to be seen, but they've not got any leeway to bring the price of the base model down. So it's going to be an expensive console. Darge, you don't have a PlayStation 5 at all. Go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, no, you touched upon a really good point. And I think the issue as well now is, your Sony's, your Microsoft will be looking at the market and going, well, hang on, people are paying 600 quid for a handheld device, and obviously mindful that some of those are kind of PCs in hand, but like the Steam Deck with its own OS, and so I think we're in a slightly different era now where kind of disposable income is bumping up for a lot of people. Obviously, there's a lot of people who can't buy a Steam Deck or a PC or multiple consoles, but I think there'll be a bit of like market research into actually the level seems to have increased slightly what people are willing to pay
It's also
in terms of a VR headset or a handheld or so on.
Yeah, VR headset. We'll get to that in a minute. You mentioned that also, though, it's not intended to be a mainstream console, and I always felt that was something Sony did quite wrong with the PlayStation 4 Pro. I don't think they should have targeted the baseline price point with that console. I think if you're going to do a high-end console, then you should aim a bit higher. I think that was a missed opportunity for them on that one. So actually, I don't mind. Like, it makes sense to me that they up the price and up the power in that kind of regard. But like you say, it's not for the mainstream audience. It's for a very core audience. It's for the kind of people that will be looking over their shoulder and seeing you play on your 4090 and going, oh, I could use a bit more performance. I'm getting a bit like this PlayStation 5 is a bit long in the tooth. It's Sony's way of prolonging the generation for a wider group of people, so that core audience won't necessarily bleed away as much as they would have done. Darge, are you interested in this console at all? What do you think of what we've seen of the leaks?
I'm not interested in it. I heard you just say then about your reasoning for it. I don't understand the reasoning for it because they're the market leader. They've got their price point, which they're saying they're pretty knackered with. They brought out one whatever you want to call it, re-bought version of the console. They brought that out. And then if you're saying you don't like the terminology of Pro, that they wouldn't go with Pro again, like let's just call this a PS5 Plus Yeah, it's got like a slight boost on it. Yeah, I just don't understand it. Like, you know, like for something that's got the bump, you know, the slight bump in performance, or rather, you know, graphical performance, you know, whatever it's got, they're already not making money on their like standard issue, you know. So then, like you say, they're kind of snookering themselves with a price. But this is Sony, don't forget. So, you know, the games that have been and gone, there'll be, you know, PS5 plus patches on these games where you'll get improved. You know, they remaster, they remake, they do this, they do that. They'll patch old software and go, oh, play it on the, you know, the plus patch with improved visuals and improved performance and this, that, and the other. And people will go, oh, I've got to buy the game again, you know. But it just seems weird to me, like, you know, with a PSVR, you know, obviously that news coming out. The Portal, I mean, no one really knows how well that performed. And they're knocking hardware out, but they're the leader by some distance as well. It's almost as if, like, you know, I know you're saying that they'd be doing this to cater for those people that look over their shoulder at PC. But then if you're going to start, like Chris said, if you're going to start charging £700 or $750, you know, surely at some point consumers are going to look at this sort of money for a plastic box and go, fucking hell, if I sit on this, put another $250 away, I've got £1,000, I could go and buy a tower, you know, and that's your entry point into PC. So just, you know, whatever. Obviously, I get it in the industry. Oh, Sony are making a new device. Everyone's like, yay. You know, you see the overexcitement at the start about, oh, GTA 6 is going to be 60 FPS and this, that, and the other. And it's just like, nah, it's not, you know. But yeah, obviously I won't buy it. I won't, you know, I don't own the console anymore, so it's not like all anti-Sony bullshit this time. But yeah, it don't really bother me. I don't really care about it. I don't understand why they're doing it. And also, I mean, they ain't even really got any software coming. So, that we know of, right? So, like, what's the show?
It is good points. It is good points, Darge, because if it was like, if they were really kind of fully behind PSVR 2, then I can see them going, actually, we need it. You know, can we get a console to really like boost that, you know, the capability of that and stuff? And it looks like, unless there's like a little bit of maybe putting that onto the PC will kind of resurrect interest in it and things like that. Probably won't for the console audience.
It seemed like they seem like they're on a recuperation. They haven't really got any software coming, right? Like, so obviously the news came out with the PSVR 2 that they're stopping making those now. So they're, like I said to you last week or the week before, we don't know how many they're sitting on, and they must be sitting on a lot, which is why they've gone, oh, we're going to, you know, support that for the PC community, because they just want them gone. Yeah. So they've put money into creating these pieces of hardware. PS Portal as well. I know they were the big thing when they launched, but I don't really see anyone using them. So, you know, maybe they've gone, well, look, there's 2 million suckers out there who we can market this to be like the second coming of Jesus, and they will just go out and they will give us $750 for it. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know, man.
A couple of things on that then. So the PlayStation Portal, the reason that you don't see anyone using that is because it doesn't really work outside of the home. It's a bit of a weird device.
Yeah.
Sony have said publicly that they're all right with how that's doing. Like, it is selling. I don't rate that as a device myself, but I think it is doing all right for them. It's one that doesn't need to do better than all right, because like functionally it doesn't need supporting in any particular way. You just stick it out there and it plays your base PlayStation 5 games remotely through its streaming thing, and that's the end of it. The price, I'd be very surprised if it was as much as $750, but you know, just in terms of who it's for me personally. So I'm different to both of you on that one, and I think one of the key differences might be that I've been trying to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but typically throughout a console life cycle, I said this since the 360, I normally last like 2 or 3 years before comparatively the console hardware starts to feel like too noticeably aged against what's available in the PC space. And I'm very much like still like the consoles today, but I'm playing these games and seeing the struggle, and that little extra bit of oomph that the Pro has would be like a night and day difference on Final Fantasy VII. Night and day,
Yeah,
like
it'd give you
absolutely
more
would.
solid, give you more solid. Give you a more solid 30 FPS experience or a 60 FPS at a lower upscale res. But I just can't. I said this to Darge like the other week. I can't, if I boot my Series X up or whatever. I just can't abide like the resolutions and stuff. And it sounds very snobby, but the game and that I'm having on the PC, and yeah, I've invested in it. A hell of a rig. I appreciate that. But as a gamer, I've decided to just go, yeah, do you know what? Fuck this kind of console space now. And actually, I want to play stuff at a fidelity and a frame rate which feels smooth and feels. And I'm mindful that obviously some of those games are not available on PC. So that's where the niche. But I like a few years ago, I'd agree with you, Asa. Like I was, you know, I'd go for like the S models. I get the obviously the Xbox One X model. I got the kind of the PS4 Pro model. I would go for the kind of early adopter Pro models. But other than just having those more stable experiences, it's not going to light the world on fire. It's not going to be, oh, you can have the shit version, or you can have like the high ultra settings PC quality version over here on this console.
No,
I think it's an
but
odd time to
I think
release
it's
it.
quite a nice middle ground there, though. Go on, Darge.
Asa, answer a question, yeah? You say this console's aimed at you, yeah? It's for you, yeah? But if Sony are doing day and date, are you buying it?
Oh, no, that's different. But they're not doing day and date.
No, not yet. And then I just wanted to bring up, this guy, Stephen Southwick, in the chat is dropping some absolute bars in here. He's just put, what's the point of a more powerful console if they ain't making games that will utilise the enhanced power? If AAA games are too expensive to be sustainable, why make a console aimed at AAA games? I.e., what's the point of building another console to further improve? But also, like, obviously, they're not selling that to the masses. They're selling that to the enthusiast. And then they complain about how expensive it is to make games. When the best versions of them games are only going to get played by a small catchment of your audience. You know what I mean? It's weird.
It is only a small catchment of your audience that care. Like, we care. And I in 2010 or something, I had 4 graphics cards in my PC. And I was playing 4K games before it was cool to play 4K games, right? I've chased the cutting edge of games all the way through. But at the same time, I look at the people that don't. And I played Mario Kart on the Switch the other day, and it's quite freeing to stop caring about how crisp things are.
Yeah.
For me, I find, like, because of the diminishing returns that you get on performance and resolution and things like that, I think if you play a lot of these games, there's exceptions. There's games that hit really like rock bottom resolutions, like Immortals of Avium and Final Fantasy, where you play them on a console and you go, oh, this is a little bit rough on my eyes at the moment. But by and large, those games do play just as well and are just as fun on the console. And there is a massive audience that don't need 4090 performance and don't want to spend that kind of money on a PC. And a console is just a whole different thing. So for me, putting aside the fact that I have a 4090, like I am one of these PC people, I chase the cutting edge all of the time. I like the console experience, and the consoles at the moment are aging. They are 3 years old, 4 years old. They are aging. So you give me, like, Helldivers is another good example, because I was playing that on the PlayStation 5. That game is blurry in performance mode. It's got a 30 frames per second mode, which is gross for that game. You can't play that game at 30 for me. You put it into its performance mode, it's about 1080p. And it would benefit massively from just this simple little Pro model. And I'm not saying that people should have to pay, like, I don't know, 550, 600 quid to get that more crisp visual on these games, but I don't think it is a bad option. I think it is an option for a niche audience, but I don't think that's, like, I don't hold them in disdain for that or anything along those lines. So
yeah, I'll get you. Like I say, my points that I've made is not console gaming's shit. Yeah, my point has always been they are the dominant market leader in the console ecosystem. Yeah. it just feels weird that they're bringing this out at a time when they've got nothing to back it up, unless they do, next version patches on old games to resell. Yeah, and they will charge. They'll charge you the let's just call it the plus patch.
Yeah.
The PS5 plus patch. Yeah, even if it's a tenner, even if it's $15, whatever it is, they're gonna and they're just gonna resell you old software. So I get. Listen, it's not me. I just think it's a weird move. That's all.
I mean, the thing is it's going to come out and everyone's going to go, oh lordy. And then Nvidia are going to drop the 5090, which is rumored to be almost 70%, more powerful than a 4090. And I know, Asa, you just touched upon the fact that not everyone's got the money to buy 4090s, and it's not a flex or whatever. It's the fact that we decided to invest in the cutting edge or the leading piece of hardware. But you bet your arse that I'm thinking about a 5090 ahead of any console, because I'll get 1,100 quid. I'll probably get 1,200 quid for my 4090 still when it comes out, and a 70% increase is something worth shouting about. When you start looking at the types of monitors that are coming out, we're getting 4K, like 420 hertz monitors and things like that coming out. So
doing the calculation. Hold on.
It's this arms race in the console space, which I think is just diminishing. I think we'll get a next gen console, and then I think that'll be the end of it.
I've sussed it anyway, Chris.
280 frames per second on your Skull and Bones.
Beautiful. my eyes deserve. Actually, sorry, Darge, just one sec. But really, it's about the stuff that we've discussed, isn't it? It's about the UE5 level and fidelity of games and the new engines and stuff which will come out, and it's an exciting time to be a PC gamer. Sorry,
I was just going to say, when I was saying to you, it seems weird to me why they're doing it, Asa. It don't now, because obviously it's coming out holiday, isn't it? Apparently, it's coming out, November time. They lost the Call of Duty marketing, but now they can say the game plays best on PlayStation. So they get a little bit of a marketing win back there when they have the best performing version of COD. So maybe that's why they're doing it.
Microsoft will just say it plays best on PC.
Yeah.
Plays best on platforms where Game Pass exists. They'll just go with that narrative again.
Oh, God.
So, is there anything else on the PlayStation 5 Pro that's worth talking about?
Not for me, no.
Yeah.
Dismissive way.
I don't even know. Go on.
No, I was just saying, I don't mean that in a dismissive way. It's one of those, let's wait and see, and Sony might do some genius DLSS type upscaling or whatever, which makes all games, upscale to 8K 120. I mean, it's not, but you know what I mean.
No, but it's the dark horse in the hardware spec is that AI upscaling chip and the PlayStation, whatever they call it, spectral super resolution.
What do they actually have in software coming? And don't say Wolverine.
Well, this is a difficult thing because this is an absolutely
it's only
valid
DS2.
Point.
It's DS2, isn't it? 2025, but they didn't give an actual date on Death Stranding 2. They just said 2025, didn't they? So you're going to get a new box this Christmas, but you may not have any first-party software to play on it for minimum 6 months.
Games on it.
That's why Tom Henderson said in Insider Gaming said that there's some consternation at the moment about the release date because the thing is ready at the end of this year, but they don't necessarily have any software to push it. So there is some, it might get delayed for that very reason because Sony don't have anything major to push it. I'm sure they're having conversations with third parties to see if there is anything that makes sense, but it's going to hurt it without anything that shows it off.
They will they'll want it for GTA. They'll want it for GTA 6, won't they? I'm not saying GTA 6 is going to run at 8K 60 like loads of people were harping on about. But what we've seen from Rockstar games in the past, where you look at the Xbox One X, is that obviously Red Dead Redemption 2 was just solid as a rock, 30 frames, apart from a couple of tiny little dips in the main city. I was going to say St. Anne, but that's off Skull and Bones. But you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that was kind of like the definitive version at the time, wasn't it? A 1X or whatever just ran Red Dead Redemption 2 so well.
Mm-hmm. It
So-
did, but GTA 6 isn't this year, is it?
No, that's what I'm saying. I was agreeing with you and saying they will
Mm.
probably release it for GTA 6, not for Christmas this year.
Mhm.
I don't think.
Might be Starfield at 60, maybe, on it.
Yeah.
Messy.
The longer they hold it off, though,
I
the
mean,
less
I'm playing
like
Starfield at
relevant
like
lifespan it has.
130 on my PC. But,
Mhm.
so
Flex.
I was just reading facetious back to Darge. On an ultra wide monitor as well, Darge.
I don't like ultra wide monitors, Chris. Do you play ultra wide?
Oh, I love it. You're on the left side of the monitor right now, and Darge is on the right. And your
Fair
head's
enough.
all stretched and elongated because it's gone off into. No, I do like ultra wide, especially. I mean, yeah, I like it. Good for
Some people
racing
love
games,
it,
good
but-
for FPSs and stuff like
Well,
that.
I just put like some black tape over the top of my screen, and then I've got that ratio, haven't I?
Good for Skull and Bones.
Good for Skull and Bones, yeah. Let's do we have any other particular topics that we were going to cover today? I think there might have been one or two things, but if not, we'll move on to the community questions if we've had some. Tony, my eyes don't view the world ultra wide like a monitor, unless you're getting like play in VR if you want real perspective.
Yeah, we was no. I was going to say about the Game Pass editions for this month. But I mean, you'll talk about.
Can I have a little touch on them? No, well, yeah, we
Oh.
will talk about them on the Xbox Series podcast, but that's different people, and you know, you got your own opinions on them. Did you see anything? So Game Pass has got a few things coming that they announced today. It's their second wave of games for the month. It's got Evil West, The Quarry. There's a strategy game. I can't remember the name of it on the PC side of things. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. And some other things. Lightyear Frontier came out today.
The Show's 24 as well, hasn't it? As
No, that's a baseball game, so we just completely gloss over it.
Well, we got.
I mean, it's very important to not necessarily like the game, but it's obviously a PlayStation Studios game. I know it's obviously MLB themselves that have pushed it to Game Pass and stuff, but that would have made Jim very angry when that happened.
I'm sure
I've
it
got
would
the
have,
list
Everyone
here.
like
The MLB and Control and that are all sort of going in there this month. The ones that got announced today is for next month, isn't it? For April, or from like the mid to end of March through to April. You got Formula 1 23, The Quarry, Evil West, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Open Roads, Super Hot, Ark Survival Ascended, Diablo 4, and Terra Invicta. That's a gaming preview. That's a good month. That's a month you can't argue about the price, can you? Let's be right about it.
Especially when you've bought it for
maybe
£1.
Were you planning to play any of those games? Were you planning to buy any of those games?
I could. I can't play The Quarry. Well, I could if I play it on the cloud. But Evil West, I've actually got a save. It was one of the last games I played on my console, Series X. I know it's a bit of a, some people regard it as a mid-level game, but I played around with it. It weren't too bad. I'll jump back to that, given I have time with Dragon's Dogma. F1 23, I think Quicksilver and Dave Mack in the Discord, obviously they do a lot of Forza, and they kept talking about the F1 games, and obviously Chris, yourself, you like a Formula 1 game. Yeah, so the EA Sports F1 23. Hot Wheels Unleashed, I mean, that was a good game. Like, the first one was
on
fun.
The Rogue Ally.
Aye. And then Diablo, I already own Diablo. But Open Roads, is Open Roads a day and date game? Because I heard a couple of people talking about this, and I don't actually know about the game. Do either of you?
I read the blurb of it. It sounds, so Open Roads actually stood out as one that seems like a good fit in that I probably wouldn't have got it, but it sounds quite interesting, and now I'll probably have a look at it, maybe give it a play. I wasn't questioning that to say like it's a bad month, because I think it's a pretty good month, and there's a lot in there that I am like. Evil West is one that I figured I'd pick up real cheap one day, and now I don't need to. I can just play it. So there are a few things in there that I want to play. Go on.
Just on Open Roads, it's out on PC on the 28th of March, so I presume it's out at the same
day. Yeah. Just says it's an interactive, like movie-esque type game, you know.
But at the same time, in terms of the value for money, it's definitely not saved me any, because I wasn't rushing to buy any of those particular games that I haven't already got. So.
Well, yeah, but I mean, now you know they're there for a bit, and so it can also give you a bit of a kick up the arse when you go a bit quiet. That is the beauty of Game Pass, you know. It's like, you know, it can dangle the carrot, can't it? You know, like you said, you weren't exactly, you know, fucking crying because you weren't playing Evil West, but now it's dropped in there. It's dropped the fault into your head where you go, ooh. Like, if you're a bit quiet, obviously we're going into Dragon's Dogma, but if we weren't and you was coming to the end of Rebirth, you know, and you're going, oh, maybe I'll jump straight into that after, you know, like,
the reason
that's how these things
I asked,
work.
though, is like I've got Game Pass, and I think both of you have got Game Pass as well. And there's a bunch of stuff there that we can go and try, but we also know that Game Pass stopped growing a while ago, and I'm just wondering, like, how heavy it weighs on people that don't have Game Pass, whether they see these things that are coming in, and it is a good month, like it is a good month, but is it gonna convince people that they need to be here, and do they need to be here when there is so much to play outside of Game Pass as well? If you're buying Dragon's Dogma this month, do you need Game Pass?
I still think they need big day and date first party, 100%. And I mean, like we said it on here before, I said it on here before. Every time Xbox, it feels like, look at the first party offerings that are coming up. They put a lot of faith behind Halo Infinite. They put a lot of faith behind Starfield. And that's not to say that they didn't do well, yeah? But Microsoft are scoring things on two different scales now. They're scaling it on the media reception, but then they're also scaling it on the Game Pass needle, the subs. That's the whole new metric that they're looking at now. And those games wouldn't have thrown the needle up, you know? So for the outside non-subscribed people, they need either big day and date third party or a big first party crazy. I mean, Game Pass, you know, I could imagine Power World has probably moved the needle more for that service than a lot of the first party offerings of late. Do you know what I mean? Because that went a little bit crazy.
The big kicker will be all the Activision Blizzard back catalog of games going to it.
Yeah, Call of Duty.
It's going to become that.
Yeah, Call of Duty. If they market it correctly, if they let the world know that Game Pass is a thing and Call of Duty is in it, and the fucking cheapest entry point is £200 or £250 for a Series S, it'll go crazy. But let's wait and see, because this is Microsoft, where they'll go, we'll just expect to put an Xbox Wire post out and my fucking nan's going to hear about it. She ain't. Do you know what I mean? For my nan to hear about it, you know what I mean? It's got to be on the Antiques Roadshow. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
There. I got nothing else on the Game Pass ones, so let's do, Isla, if you're there. Can we have the first of our community questions? It's already there. Flush Jackson, we've kind of, I can answer this for both of the other ones, but I'll let them speak for themselves. Ronin or Dogma 2 this week? You have covered it, but Chris...
We almost answered it earlier, didn't we? Dogma 2.
And Darge don't have PlayStation either. So, Chris, do you actually have a PlayStation? I forgot. No, Darge doesn't.
Lad's got one, so I don't have one, but I've got access to one.
Yeah.
I've still got my PS Plus and all of that stuff.
I've got mine, but even if Rise of the Ronin was day and date on PC as well, I'd still Dragon's Dogma is the one for me, by a fairly large margin.
Capcom are just in a beautiful little vein of form. I mean, that Path of the Goddess one still looks a little bit... It's not done enough for me yet. Like, do you know what I mean? But Capcom have been fucking red hot for a bit, I think. So, yeah, it'd be Dragon's Dogma all day.
Yeah. Let's have the next one, please. And it's Mystic Spearhand, by the way, that I'm aiming for on Dragon's Dogma 2. I don't know a lot about the classes. I don't know what ones are basic classes, what ones are advanced classes, and where you get them. But I just heard someone talking about Mystic Spearhand having some telekinetic powers, and I love telekinesis in games almost as much as I love extreme weather. So, Replicant, actually, this was one of our side topics that we forgot to get to. So, Replicant has said Xbox hardware is 47% down year on year in Europe. Is the US the only viable market for Xbox console business now? Ignore it if you guys have already talked about it. We were going to talk about it and we forgot. So the Xbox hardware, for context's sake, PlayStation's hardware dropped about 2% year on year. I think Nintendo's maybe 17%. I might be making that up. It dropped a little bit. But Xbox hardware in Europe has gone from the third place position last year, so it was already at the bottom of the pile, to having the biggest drop as well, down 40% in Europe. Europe's not been Xbox territory pretty much ever. I think I'm assuming these hardware numbers exclude the UK. Well, not in Europe really, not particularly. Europe's always been PlayStation PC.
A lot closer fought though in Europe, wasn't it? Back in the 360 era.
Yeah, 360 did very well in the UK and US. Yeah. So, I mean, what can Microsoft do about it? Like, is Europe, should they just stop releasing things there? What's the deal?
I don't like why. Like, I know, like Replicant said, you know, like, is the US the only viable market? Well, it is the only viable market if it's the only one they care about. If they care about the other markets, they got to get their fucking finger out. You know what I mean? Because let's have it right. I said it time and again. The 360 gen, like, you know, it was everywhere you looked, Xbox. You know what I mean? It was a lot more prevalent everywhere that you went. And it seems like this particular generation, since the launch of the series consoles, there's been a lot more focus on Game Pass than there has hardware, you know? Like, and, you know, people want to ask themselves, you know, what are Microsoft more invested in? Are they more invested in the box, in the territories across the world with hardware sales, or are they more invested in this thing? Because I think they completely, like, they should still be competing a lot better than they are now. It almost feels like half-assed efforts. All you've got now is the core, like you said about earlier, about the PS5 Pro or whatever. You've got the people who are invested in ecosystems, and they'll just buy that box regardless, unless it's an absolute pile. Yeah, but if it's closely competing or slightly better or whatever, people, they've got libraries, you know, people are going to roll on, you know. But
here's a question, Darge. I'm going to challenge you. It's not like a maths question or something. I'm not putting you on the spot, but
yeah, you'd fuck me if it was. So
Microsoft, obviously, in terms of their console focus and marketing and all the rest of it, all of their games are day and date on PC, and in terms of Europe, at the very least, that's a really good avenue for growth for Xbox. I framed this all wrong. Let's start off then. Should Microsoft be pulling their fingers out and trying to push consoles in Europe, or should they do what they're doing and keep pushing Game Pass and PC?
I hear, you know, from the likes of Jez Corden and that, the way Microsoft are established as a business is about columns, and each part has to work and provide for the other. Yeah, they've lent heavy into the subscription service. They built the boxes, yeah, and they put them out, you know, 3 years or whatever you said it's been, yeah. And they've lent into the subscription service, the Halo Infinites, the Starfields, the this, that, and the other, and they're not hitting their metrics. Yeah, why not invest your efforts elsewhere selling hardware? You have the best console on the market, yeah, but you wouldn't think it. Like, do you know what I mean? Because the marketing is non-existent. I think that Microsoft, let's not talk about a Kickstarter like as if they're a Kickstarter outfit. They are Microsoft. They should be at the top in everything, as far as I'm concerned. And it don't have to be in the top in regards to number one, but they should at least be competing. And it's like with the consoles, they ain't putting up no fighting anymore. Do you know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, they're not. They come out and they say, power your dreams. They show, you know, the VGAs, like when they revealed the console, beautiful reveal trailer, power your dreams. Wow, this is incredible. How many times you see that on the telly? How many times you see that on ad space, like on national TV or anything like that? Because we didn't see it over here.
Never watched
you know what I mean?
national TV, so I don't know.
Well, still though, you get what I'm saying. Like PlayStation, there's a PlayStation
Yeah,
advert every time Sony are bringing out a first-party game. PlayStation. You know, how can you feel sorry, or not necessarily? I know we're not going to feel sorry for them, but we're sitting here going, you know, what can they do? Fucking something, because they ain't doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's a strange one. You know, it's like they have a great service in Game Pass. They have great hardware. You know what I mean? They have a great ecosystem. You know what I mean? They've got the PC and they've got everything going on, and it's like they just mismanage everything all the time. Do you know what I mean? And if they could wrap it all up into a nice little bow, it'd be such an appealing, you know, proposition for anyone. But they just constantly fucking put their foot in it. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But
I mean, it's odd as well, isn't it? Because the Series X is just a like gorgeously made machine. It really is. I
yeah,
mean, you had Digital Foundry and a lot of tech channels and stuff loading it up the way it'd been built. It'd been built in a really nice way, cool and compact and things like that. But I think, Joe, I think we're still feeling the effects. I've said this a few times. We're still feeling the effects of like the pandemic and stuff like that because the release
yeah,
schedule across games and stuff was non-existent. People was really struggling to work from home and stuff, especially when you're trying to chuck terabytes of data around and people are relying on like home broadband connections and things like that. Um, and I think we're starting to see like the effects of that with the layoffs, with further delays, um, various tools, SDKs, you name it, and we're getting to a point now where UE5 is kind of almost amongst us. There's a set of a set of visual um styles which are coming out. There's a lot of this kind of like body cam stuff which we've seen because UE5
Mhm.
does it really well, whether it's a horror game or a tactical shooter. Um, and for me, I think I think there's probably something up Microsoft's sleeve in terms of hardware, but I agree with some of the things that the guys are saying in the chat. It's like Europe is a very PC centric place. You look at like Germany, you look at those type of countries are really kind of PC centric, and it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of people have become disillusioned with consoles and started to build PCs. I mean,
yeah.
you only have to look at YouTube. It's just full of like every other video on YouTube is someone building a really compact, gaming PC which can go under the telly if you want that type of experience that you enjoy. Acer on the console side of things, you've got the kind of I can sit in here, lock myself away, and enjoy like PC gaming. Um, so it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if a lot of people have started switching over to PC.
They have, haven't they?
Kind of really understanding like what they can get on Steam, Ubisoft, Plus, what you can get on Game Pass for PC, all of these kind of services, GOG, etc. And just started chasing a better experience.
So, but is
I
that
think,
good news or bad news for Microsoft? Because when you're pushing PC as Microsoft, you've got some inroads into those people. You can push Game Pass and you can push the Microsoft Store in there, but you're also going to lose a lot of those people to Steam and GOG and all these other places where Microsoft aren't making that money anymore. So should they, like, if you are Microsoft and you're looking at these numbers, is it cause for concern? Do they need the console to do better, or?
I'm not sure. I mean, for me, they're obviously looking at clouds, they're looking at Game Pass, they're looking at multiple platforms outside of a dedicated console. So you can even play, X Cloud or whatever on my Samsung telly in there. Um,
Mhm.
so there's a different way of delivering. I think obviously obtaining Activision Blizzard King was a real kicker, and you look at some of the games that they've been putting out, and they're doing like 1.7 billion consistently a year over the last 5, 6, 7 years
Mhm.
in things like Candy Crush and so on and so forth. So the mobile market is it's the ignore the fact that there's um 2 billion PC players around the globe and stuff like that. The mobile market is the market to be in, and I don't necessarily want to start a game development studio and concentrate on mobile games. But if I wanted to do something in gaming with my business hat on, it's a market that you can't ignore. There's people doing there's people doing $1 billion a year in a mobile game. It's ridiculous, and the teams are 15 people.
Yeah.
It's
It's
insane.
There's some really good stuff being made in the chat as well. Like, obviously, when you were saying about, we know some of these people, you know what I mean? But like at the start of this generation, we had certain content creators and everything telling us that the Xbox, this is the place to be, blah, 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 blah. 3 years in, they're all playing on PC now. You know what I mean? Like this feels like a jumping off point for a lot of people, but like also just to go back to Microsoft and their shit marketing, the Series S, these consoles launched in a pandemic, and that Series S for 250 quid, the things that it does, it's a very impressive bit of kit. You know what I mean? Whether you want to take away it ain't 4K, so shit. You know what I mean? Let's have it right for the price. Yeah, that's a good entry point. And again, like, they just don't market anything. You know what I mean? They've gone with a too skew approach, and it's just a fucking shit show. It drives me mad because obviously we know I have got a preference. You know what I mean? But I went from 360, OG Xbox. Xbox was the new kid on the block. It was coming up. It was this, that, and the other. And it's like they rested on their laurels. And now they've got other things like Game Pass. Don't get me wrong, viable things, that it's worth them being in. But that does not exclude having dog shit marketing. When you, like someone said in the chat a little while ago, before this stream went live, PlayStation advert. You know what I mean? There's no excuse for that. There is no excuse for that whatsoever. You can just do basic marketing.
YouTube Premium.
I know, but I'm saying like you can't. If it was someone penny pinching and watching budgets and this, that, and the other, like you know what I mean. This is just basic marketing. You know what I mean?
You're right though. Microsoft, Microsoft, they fucked up when the Series S wasn't the 1440p, or the not native, obviously. But, some of the consoles struggle with that, but when it was kind of rumored to be the kind of 1080p, 120 or 1440p, 30 or that type of machine, and it was like woefully underpowered. I think that's the fuck up. That was the kind of wrong narrative, because I had loads of mates who didn't want to fork out for the Series X, but wanted that nice little compact Series S, just to sit at the side of the TV or underneath it or whatever. And they were really happy with that kind of, if it does 1080p 120 or, 1440p 30 or a combination at 60, which the narrative was pushing when they first announced it. And then it just didn't deliver shit. Like, other than, lower kind of resolution fidelity games, which it supported, it just bombed in that regard.
I call that? If the narrative is pushing one thing and the reality is different, I call that fantastic marketing. Let's have the next question, please. Narrative's got to come from somewhere.
It wasn't built on reality of the hardware.
This was another topic.
Steam has started. Oh, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, Steam has started a family sharing scheme for up to 6 family members. Do you think that Sony and Microsoft will extend their schemes? So, Steam's family sharing, they announced today, I think. They already had some reasonably decent family sharing, but they've refined it now. It's 5 other people, so 6 people in total can be added to a family to share content. And the big improvement that they've made that didn't exist before is now if I'm playing on my Steam library and someone in my family group wants to play some of the games that I own, they can do it at the same time simultaneously. It used to be that Steam let you share up to like 10 people and 10 computers, but only one of you could be accessing that person's library at a time. Now it's concurrent and simultaneous, so long as you're not playing the same game. So the one shortfall, which Steam can't conquer because publishers won't have it, is we couldn't, for example, buy a copy of like Helldivers and then have 4 of us log on and play it together. You still need to have multiple licenses to play the same game multiple times. But besides that, it is a big step up in ease of use and like entitlement, as it were, compared to what you get pretty much anywhere else. Chris, when are we going to see, like, what's stopping Microsoft and Sony from giving us something as generous as this?
Business decision, isn't it? Obviously, you can be on the same console, and so I can obviously use my PlayStation Plus or whatever it is, download games, and then obviously my lad can play them, but obviously not across the different machines. Oh no, obviously the update to the Steam stuff means that you two are going to be my long lost brothers, part of the family, sharing libraries, of course.
It's impossible, Chris, because we play so many games together, or at least that's the plan. But
that is the plan. I don't know. I mean, obviously, why bother when you can? I'm not saying they shouldn't. I think definitely if you've got like multiple consoles in the house and stuff, and isn't there something similar? You can do something like that on Xbox or whatever. It just never got around to it.
So they supposedly had it planned on the Xbox One launch when they were doing the always online thing that got slapped down. They supposedly had sharing plans, but we never got the nitty gritty of it because it never came to life.
Okay. And obviously, why do it when you can just wrongfully force other family members to buy a second console or whatever, and a second subscription service and so on? So it would be pro-consumer, wouldn't it? But either of these businesses that pro-consumer?
I actually think, honestly, I think both Microsoft and Sony would be very happy to do this if they could. I think the biggest objection comes from third-party publishers. That makes it non-viable. Because much as Sony would like you to, or Microsoft would like you to have good access to games that you bought on their platforms, which is where they want you to buy them, EA and all the rest of them do not want you to buy one copy of a game and be able to share it anywhere. I actually think they get an awful lot of resistance on that. But
if they wanted to do it though, why wouldn't they do it first party then and kind of make an example of the third parties who are dead set against it?
That's a fair point.
I mean, I'm not doing that to catch you out. I'm doing that as a discussion. Sorry, it seemed like
you could say that on the but it's a similar scenario to cross entitlement between PC and Xbox, which Microsoft tried really hard to push, and smart delivery as well. They tried really hard to push, and they did do it on their first party stuff, but third parties say no. And you're right that they could do cross entitlement and things like that, but in terms of architecting it on a system level, if no one's going to use it, because like EA are going to say, well, we're opting out of these features that you've built in, it does complicate it.
Yeah, and I mean, and as shitty as this is going to sound, I mean, Sony won't even give you a remaster or an update to a game for free. So
I think this is like PC. Like, obviously, I'm not saying it just because I made my bed with it last year. You know what I mean? And jumped in, but like, this is really good. I mean, say what you like about the PC, like PC gaming. You know, the codes are cheap, but this news now is this is a big change. You know what I mean? The fact that us 3 here can just create a family and have access to all 3 of our libraries. Obviously, I see little Tony in the chat. Poor little Tony. He said it still sucks. Family sharing still sucks because you can't play the same online game as your family. Yeah, that's tough shit, Tone. Like you got to take what you can get. You know what I mean? Like, the chances are, if you're going to play an online game, then you're going to have to buy that. But then every other game that's not online, Tone, you have this option. And this is a free option. You know, I've got whatever I've got, save you money. This is a win-win. Like, this makes the PC gaming space even more appealing now. The fact that you can do like what we was doing on Xbox. You know, it's your turn, you buy this one, and then I'll buy the next one. You know what I mean? But you was both getting access to it and stuff like that. I don't see no wrong. This is a positive thing. Tell me I'm wrong, Lisa.
No, you're not wrong. I don't think the intention is to share it with your mates. I think it is supposed to be for families, but people obviously will use it how they want. The thing in terms of the same game being shared and being able to play online and all the rest of it, you're right, Tony, in that would be ideal. I'd love to buy one copy of a game and be able to play it with my family, even if it was restricted to like the household or something. But what they're shooting for, I think, is parity with physical media as well. So what you're getting with this sharing system is they're trying to make buying a digital game more equivalent to buying it on a disc, so that they can properly kill off retail. Because if you buy a game on disc, you can share it with your family. As long as you're not playing it, you pass them the disc and they can play. This is essentially as close as digital can get to being that kind of system of sharing.
That's a great point, isn't it? And I think the other thing as well is it'll lead to increased sales as well, because say for example, Darge tries like Squad. I've spoke to Darge about like Squad and Ready or Not and games like that, tactical shooters. Like he could try them when I'm not playing it. Before you know it, he might be like, actually this is really good, I'll buy my own copy, we'll play online and stuff. So I can see it leading to sales as well if there's a particular game that falls into that category where obviously we all want to play at the same time.
Yeah, that's a really good point for Tony. Is you might not be able to play online, but if one of you has already got it, the other one can play it, get a good feel of the game. So it's a big extended demo before you buy the game at least. So then you ain't just buying it on a whim and losing money. So never look a gift horse in the mouth, Tony.
Right, let's have one more question, please. Got all of those topics. I'm glad Replicant was there to jog.
I know. Rep might have to get Rep in the on the fucking thing, mate.
One of my things hasn't updated. Here we go. So episode 13. Do you think that Xbox can do anything to counter this PlayStation 5 Pro, or do they just wait it out? You don't think that they have anything already or anything ready to go? What are your thoughts on that, Chris? What do Xbox do to counter the PlayStation 5 Pro?
I think they'll definitely be looking at it. I think Xbox will try and maintain the kind of, if Xbox want to continue in the hardware space, the kind of one-upmanship they've got on Sony is that they're in a position where they can. Me and Darge spoke about this the other week, where they can continue to do the world's most powerful console or whatever, because they can just see exactly what Sony are up to. Dump a new machine out, and it can obviously blow the specs of the PS5 Pro away. The one interesting conversation I had, and there's a couple of things, couple of like murmured rumors and stuff like that Microsoft may drop AMD and they might actually move over to Nvidia. And I think if they do that, then we're in a proper arms race then, and it's almost going back to like PS3 360 days where one set of hardware just didn't work as good as the other. And then you've got like the battle of Sony's proprietary upscalers, on AMD hardware, so on and so forth. And then you've got Microsoft pulling Nvidia into the console space. You've got the SS3, which will be 4 at the time or whatever. Are they then going to start using kind of mobile, like the mobile Nvidia equivalent chips or whatever? You can still get a 4090. Mobile for a laptop and stuff, which really performs well. I think the one thing we might see is like a divergence of the two of them actually to deliver what they want. That's my kind of take on. They can always react to what Sony do with the PS5 Pro, but yeah, part of me wonders whether kind of Microsoft's time with AMD is coming to an end, and they're kind of like starting to get into bed with Nvidia and pull them into the hardware.
I reckon it's going to be Intel. Space. I reckon Intel's more likely than Nvidia.
Could well be. But I think a divergence will happen.
Yeah. Just what they can do differently, I think they need to start. They need to have a 360. They need to start the next generation early. So if they're not going to do anything, and this PlayStation comes to market this year, a couple of years' time, 2026, they need to be ready. They need to have it engineered to be as great as it can be. They've got Call of Duty. They need to get their fucking finger out on marketing. They're already making these really sought after Japanese market partnerships, relationships with Square. So in a further 2 years' time, there'd be no more excuses. There'd be no more excuses. Like, if they can't make the next generation work, if they can't have the best box, yeah, if they can't have the best subservice in Game Pass, Call of Duty, yeah, all this shit, and they can't make a dent in it, they might as well pack it all up and then just go to publishing. Because, do you know what I mean? Like, there'd be no excuse. So, you know, what do I know though? I'm a fucking roofer, so don't listen to me.
But Gamsey said, brilliant show as always. Love you guys. Who would win in a fight? A pirate, a game dev, or an ITF fighter? We don't need to answer that one, Gamsley. We all know. We all know. Hopefully. We'll find out, maybe. So
we need to meet up.
We do need to meet up. A bit of Nando's more than a fight, though. So,
yes.
Episode 13, Microsoft won't respond at the end of this year in terms of competing on hardware. These things take a bit longer than that to figure out and sort out. They also don't need to. The console war is not that big of a deal to Microsoft's grand strategy. So
there's a handheld rumored, right?
There's lots of stuff rumored. There's the iterations that we're getting at the close of this year are almost certainly the ones that we saw leaked, which is the discless 1X, not 1X, the discless Series X with the cylindrical body and all that kind of stuff, the slightly bigger drive. But they're not going to compete with the Pro directly, and they don't need to. It's like the year and a half that they need to bring out their next console is actually quite short time frame in kind of the business world, really. So they're not going to be panicking like some of their fans will be panicking. They'll just sit back, relax, chill out, and build a proper next console.
Yeah, I think they're looking at different options, as we've just said as well, Asa, and whether that's like Intel, Nvidia. I think there will be a divergence.
Which is cool. I like that. Yeah. So I think that's probably the last question that we'll tackle as we've got to Darge's bedtime. So as we round off there, Darge, please, I hope you've had another good time, and tell everyone what you're up to. Remind them about this competition you got running, and yeah.
You asked me when my daughter coming in. Well,
I didn't say that.
No, it's all right. Don't matter.
You just saw the shadow, the spectral shadow.
Yeah, I thought she was going to come in and start really mugging me off. Well, yeah. So, Death Stranding. Make sure my Steam Deck's fully charged for the probably the battery life will probably last me one cutscene and then die in the morning in the van. Yeah, just want to get that done with a little bit of Balatro. I don't think I'm really going to probably commit to starting anything else yet. Dragon's Dogma Friday. And then, as I say, if there's anyone here now who's new, who weren't here at the beginning, somewhere on Asa's page or his YouTube page, or Isla may post it in the chat. Join the Discord, come over, have a look. Well, come to the welcome page, see how it works over there, because we're building a community. The community we got over there, people that like video games, people that like talking about video games, people that don't like talking shit. So that's kind of the vibe that we're going for there. We don't want any drama, so to speak, you know, and it's just a fun time, you know what I mean? Just come over, play some games, chat with people, get to know each other. There's even Scottish people in there. Like, it's such a great place. But yeah, and if you get in the Discord, Dragon's Dogma 2 giveaway, and all the rules and stipulations are there. And if you're coming in, I'll see you there. If not, see you next week.
Absolutely, Chris. Straight in with you.
I'll be continuing Skull and Bones, obviously waiting for Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm sure it's out on the 21st on PC and Friday for consoles or something, but I'm not sure. I need to sanity check that. I'm sure a couple of people in the chat also said that. But either way, yeah. Jump on that, play some of that. Obviously some Skull and Bones, bit of work, bit of Discord. I know obviously I don't get into the Discord as much as you guys do, so I'll make a concerted effort to do that. And yeah, just want to thank everyone for dropping by, the questions, the interactions. Obviously, it's an awesome community, as Darge said, and may it continue to be awesome and continue to grow with just cool people, not arseholes.
Yes,
Not
that is
from
our
me.
intent. I noticed that at first I thought Darge was trying to like hide from the world with his jumper, but now he's revealed. Darge has revealed
too
the
hot.
aqua scrotum. That's us. You can catch me. I'm going to be on Q&A tomorrow and the Xbox Series podcast on Thursday. More community games coming up. There's a Halo update this week, so we'll get some of that in on Sunday, amongst other things. Please do keep an eye on the Discord and all the rest of it. And that's it. I'll catch you next time.